This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. This episode of PTG is brought to you by HK Army. HK is an industry leader in high-quality paintball gear, accessories, and lifestyle apparel that was founded in 2007. And we have a tremendous opportunity for you all to be geared up on every level with HK Army custom team gear. Whether you're on the paintball field or in the airsoft arena, take your game to the next level by using code PTG to get 50% off your custom gear design fee. And I don't think y'all heard me out there. That is 50% off, and you will be able to collaborate with a seasoned designer to create custom branded HK Army jerseys, long sleeves, t-shirts, pants, gloves, or headbands for your team with no minimum order quantity. Head on over to hkarmy.com/custom and use code PTG for 50% off on your team's custom gear design fee right now. Let's go. Thank you, HK Army, for everything you do in paintball, in airsoft, and in so many people's lives. We love you. Go check them out. PTG family, we love you. Thank you all for continuing to support the PTG show. We are truly forever grateful for each and every single one of you that tunes in on a weekly basis. And if you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program, head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of our community. That's where you can connect with hungry, like-minded paintball players, enjoy paintball 7 days a week in our exclusive chat rooms, and ensure that we can continue to keep cultivating the future of paintball for years to come. It's all love for paintball. It's all love for PTG. We can't wait to see you in there. Head over to ptgpodcast.com and become a member of our community.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in and rocking with us. This episode, we have one of the winners of the NXL Lone Star Major, Steve Splitty Reyes of New York Wrecking Crew. They just won the semi-pro division. It was an absolute mud bowl. What a crazy weekend. Lots of stories, lots of highs, lots of lows, but this one is definitely full of lots of highs. And Splitty is a wealth of knowledge, has a very great paintball mind, really high paintball IQ, and was a lot of fun to talk to. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
All right, everybody, we are back. Post-event episode with one of the winners from New York Wrecking Crew, my man, Steve Splitty Reyes.
Yeah.
My dude, welcome to PTG.
Sir. Thank you, man. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Welcome, Steve. Congratulations on the win out there at the old Mud Bowl. It was fun. I saw you guys getting it done. It was a really good job. So congrats to you and New York Wrecking Crew and all the hard work that the squad's putting in out there.
Man, thanks so much, man. It was a pleasure, honor to be here. Pleasure and honor to be there watching my boys get that victory. First semi-pro victory. And man, it was just a dream of a weekend. Surfing the water in the mud, whatever we got to do.
I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome to see, other players step up. You've been a starter on the team for a few seasons now. Had a little bit of an injury heading into the event, and it gave other players a little bit of an opportunity. It's a second event in semi-pro, and to get the win was really, special. I had Rob on FaceTime watching the entire finals match. So it was really, really cool to be able to witness that. And you guys
Yes,
did it in
sir.
tremendous fashion. 5-0 in the finals is not easy. I don't care what division you're playing. And you guys did it in semi-pro, which means you guys were just really dialed in, played very disciplined ball, took risk when you needed to. Really everything we've been working on over the last couple seasons seems like it just
100%.
kind of came to fruition. You know, our goal at the start of the year was let's try to be a top 4 team and get ourselves within striking distance. If we get within striking distance, who knows what could happen? We could win, right? And, you know, we already knocked off, you know, one of the first goals. So we're going to have to expand those goals now.
Yes, sir.
Just really, again, I can't say it enough. Obviously, it was a pretty awful weekend for myself and the team dynasty. But this definitely made me smile, and I've been floating on it the last 24 hours.
Nice, man. Trust me, I've been floating on it too, brother.
Yeah, of course. And then we got T down here who still has to play the Sunday, which is kind of wild that, you know, the divisional players played out the rest of the event and the pros did not. I feel like the pros probably could have played as well. And, you know, so I'm curious to see what they do. I know that they're talking about doing a blind layout for the next event for the pros, just because they think it'll be a little unfair if the 10 teams that made it on are, you know, still kind of getting ready for Texas, and to be able and to have to switch back and forth from layout to layout. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I'm excited to play more paintball. I mean, obviously not ideal what happened on Sunday. If you ask me, I'm a paintball player. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to play no matter what. I came up from the mud. I'll go right back into it. And I love playing rainball. So I'm always down to play. Let that be known first and foremost. I don't know exactly what was going on, but I know that decisions were made to where they didn't want to play the tournament. And that's kind of how it went. But definitely excited to see we could, you know, theoretically win 2 events in one if we win both of them. So we have a lot of work to do going into, you know, the next tournament, getting ready for whatever they throw at us. Essentially, we still don't know. And I think that news will start to break here shortly.
Yeah, it's interesting because, if your team's hot that weekend and you're one of the top 10 teams from you know, this event from Texas, then you have a really good chance of winning 2 in a row for sure.
Imagine winning 2 events, having 2 MVPs or 2 whatever in the same weekend.
Yeah.
It's kind of really interesting.
Yeah. And it's kind of likely to happen again. Cause like, if you're hot, you're hot. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of how it goes. You know, players, you know, often have good weekends. You know, my understanding is that the 10 teams that made it voted on not playing. So I hope they don't do a blind layout for the rest of us. If so, I think we all should have been involved in the voting, you know, in how to manage that, because it kind of changes the structure of the season and the series. But, you know, if it is blind layout, whatever, you know, it is what it is. Just another little speed bump, I guess. Curious to see how teams will practice. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What's your take on the blind layout, Stevie?
I mean, I like blind layouts, but I think in the end, I like the chess game that comes from solving layouts. And I like the meta game that comes from once it's somewhat solved, that there's now kind of a new solution. I like that process. I like that game within the game. Blind layouts, if you want to do 1 or 2 a year, really just one would be my call. It'd be fun because it is unique. It is different. But for me, I like cutting this thing up, man. Let's split it up. Let's slice it up. Let's see what's inside. And I like that part of the game as much as I like the execution.
Yes. Yeah, it's such a good point, man. When you get to sit on a layout, you can really learn the intricacies. And then, like you said, even when it does get solved, a new meta is formed and there's new ways of going about it. And it really never ends. Like you could play on a layout quite a few times and it'll be new every single time, which is cool to see. I do also like blind layout. I'm not opposed to it. You know, I know how to play paintball, you know, so I know that there's certain pieces that you got to put together and you go out there and you have to do those things correctly, no matter what layout you're on. But obviously being on a layout like Marcelo, we talk about it all the time, is you really see next level type stuff start to happen, you know, just because of the amount of time that they've had to look at it. which is, they're both fun. They both provide different opportunities. And, at the end of the day, you just say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, or whoever is pulling the strings, and go out there and, go play some paintball.
I'll hop on some concrete and play too if I had to, but I do like the planning part of the game. I think that's really fun. And I just like the idea of like when that thing drops, every paintballer who's anybody is thinking about and looking at the exact same thing at that moment. That weekend, everyone, it's like this race at the same time. There's a race within the game, and the race is figuring out the layout before everybody else. And I just think that's such a sweet part of the game, man. I would hate to see that part kind of get pushed to the side.
Without a doubt. Absolutely. Yeah. So talk to us about the weekend. What was it like out there? Obviously, Texas, the first couple of days weren't, quite as rainy as that Sunday, and that Saturday night really had a lot of water on the ground there. So what was it like going through the first, couple rounds and then going into the final day on Sunday?
Well, I mean, I thought the conditions, like you said, the first 2 days were pretty good, man. The grass was nice. The field was good. There's a little bit of water here and there, but pretty awesome conditions. The Lone Wolf field for semi-pro, I heard a lot of people saying, hey, this is the best field I've ever been on. Jared Sester's OG in the game. He's like, man, this is one of the best fields I've ever played on. So I think the fields were actually in stellar condition to start. Great conditions. But then, did we get trolley-wobbed that evening with the rain? Like you were mentioning, I do think the pros probably could have played on that field, but we started walking it. There was a period of time where it seemed like at quarters or semis, we might be on that field, then switch back to Lone Wolf. So there's a little bit of drama going on with that. But man, it really was going to be a swimming pool over there in the pro side of the field. So honestly, as wet as it was in the Lone Wolf field, we were happy to play the Lone Wolf field on Sunday. That field was ours, it was in our pocket. And we were happy to stay there, even though you can see, man, Ian was surfing in the Snake. We had guys just like puddles, great footage, great video and stuff, but it was definitely a water bowl in there Sunday.
Yeah, we actually, Dynasty and Heat, practiced on the Lone Wolf field going into the event. And I know what you mean. That field was very nice, very crispy. The grass, the way it was laid out, everything looked good. And then on Sunday, like you said, it was drastic. The amount of water that was over there on the pro side. I got some photos in the morning. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But for me, I'm always going to I love playing in the rain. It's kind of a weird thing about me. I enjoy, it's probably because how I came up in Modesto. Rich Telford would never let us miss any days. It didn't matter. Matter if the cows were flying off in the wind, you had to be there. You had to be practicing. So
get in there.
Definitely love playing in the rain, but it was crazy. And we got to make sure that, safety first. There was a lot of things going on, and we got to make sure that at the first and foremost, people are being safe. But I'm glad to see that the divisional players were able to play. I wish we would have been able to play too, but it just didn't go that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, really unique situation. I mean, I don't know if you got obviously I think a lot of the pros weren't there and stuff. So it was weird. We were going up there to get our, our gold and stuff. The whole place was basically empty at that point. You know what I mean? It was really a ghost town. It was kind of crazy. It was definitely a unique tournament, unique situation and conditions. But man, sometimes it's just going to be like that.
Yeah. Well, even last year we played some muddy paintball against Dynasty. Out here just last year. That was a fun tournament too.
Yeah, was that the Chicago one that was crazy muddy, right?
Texas, but then Chicago was super muddy too. Was it last year or the year before Chicago was super muddy? Oh yeah, it was both. It was both. Both years. I'll say this. We got to stop going to Texas in April and May. It's crazy at this point. Literally all you got to do is Google worst time for weather in Dallas, Texas, and April and May have more tornadoes and lightning storms than all the other months combined. So why are we going there? Last year we kind of dodged a bullet because we actually did get kind of good weather while we were playing mostly. But that huge, crazy storm came through where it was golf ball size hail. People's rental cars were getting ruined. The green clouds came in. You thought there's going to be a tornado. It was wild. Yeah. It was crazy. Dude, on my way to the airport, so I changed my flight to Sunday morning. I wanted to get home as soon as I could. And we were delayed because there was such a bad storm early Sunday morning. So I'm sitting in the airport. Before I get to the airport, we dropped Blake off, and then I was driving around to the rental car place. You know how the rental car thing's like off-site, so it's a few miles away. I'm not exaggerating this. It's like, it's so fresh in my mind. It's one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen in nature. Like 50, 60 feet away, the biggest, most massive lightning bolt that I've ever seen struck the ground. And it was like, the only way I could even explain it, you know, if you're just listening, I'm going to do a lot of hand gestures right now, but it was like, when it happened, it was like, whoa! Yeah. Like, it was wild. The bolt was legitimately, it seemed like it was at least 10 feet wide. You could see all the detail in the bolt, and it came all the way down to the ground. It was like loud. You could feel it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it was also scary because it wasn't that far away. I was like, if that hit the car, it goes right through the car, I think. And I'm like a burnt chicken.
Nice little conductor.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, you know, like, come on, let's just move that one.
Yeah, you can't control the weather, but you can kind of plan for it, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Dang, dude, that lightning bolt sounds heavy duty.
It's crazy, dude.
It
was crazy. It was
it was Mother Nature.
Yeah. It was crazy. I was blown away. Pretty cool to see. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, try to get this event out at a different time. I like going to Texas though. I really do.
Sure.
I like Texas. Sure. If we could just maybe switch it up somehow, it would make a little more sense. I'd be a big fan of that.
You know, maybe switch the Vegas and Texas event.
Yeah, that was getting thrown around a lot at the event.
Yeah, I mean that might be a good idea. Like Vegas weather right now is great, you know, excellent. And Texas in March, I think is pretty good. Maybe a little rainy, but as long as you could avoid the lightning, the thunderstorms, the tornado, the tornadoes. That's actually what delayed us and made it to where we had to play a 7:30 p.m. game on Fridays because they had to shut down the whole venue for like 3 hours.
Yeah, same thing happened to us Friday as well. Yeah, I think we left there at 7 p.m. man. By the time we were done, last set of the day.
Yeah,
crazy.
Definitely, it's tough. And I feel so bad for the league too, because like it's gotta be more stressful on them than any of us. Obviously, they're running a business, and like to have that stuff come through is like, oh man, here we go again. And shout out to the crew to like even make it to where again the divisionals were able to finish. It's like back in 2012 with the PSP in Galveston when they had that crazy event. I don't think they were able to finish as smoothly as the NXL was able to pull this one off. So props to the crew for making it happen. But definitely, I was kind of bummed too. I was obviously a lot of things didn't go my way personally at the event, but I was kind of excited to get home early Sunday morning and like just kind of relax on the couch and watch all the pro games and even watch. I even texted you guys. I'm like, I look forward to watching you guys on the pro field in the finals. So it was a bummer not to get to be a fan for a weekend.
Yeah, and I think we got a lot of that actually, because with the pros being gone, in a way, it was a big opportunity for us to put the semi-pro out there and to, for us to be the winners of this event. It could have been a big thing. And I know at some point Rob was talking with Tom Cole about it, and I think our decision was more around just the strategy. I mean, this field was our field. We had been crushing everybody. We had our shots locked in. We knew that the refereeing crew was on point. Up besides one match, the penalties were on their side because we were playing tight. We were shooting bodies off the break. They'd get frustrated. They try to play on. The refs were on point. There was just no reason for us to take an X factor of let's go to the pro field into the Soup Bowl when we already got everything locked in here. It sucks that it couldn't necessarily have blown up the way we wanted, but the victory is a hell of a lot better.
Oh, it's way better, bro.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were going to have you guys go over to the pro field and play. Is that right?
Yeah. Literally the schedule got swapped on APPA. We were 1 minute, we're over here going through the semi-pro, in the morning, walking Lone Wolf. Now we're over here, next second we're over at the pro field walking it. And then it's like, oh no, back to the Lone Wolf. So then we're back over at Lone Wolf, So I don't know exactly what the decisions, who exactly made the decisions one way or the other, but I know, different people were talking and expressing their opinions. And in the end, I'm really glad it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, man. And big ups to Rob and everything that he does for the camp. Shout out to Rob
Big
one time.
Rob.
Yeah,
Big
let's
Rob.
One
shine some
time.
light. We got to shine some light on the man. How is he feeling out there? Talk to me about Rob.
Dude, Big Rob, what can you say, man? That's not been said. I was talking to Tyler before while you were out, Marsh, and I was just kind of mentioning, to me, Rob is really unique in the game. There's a lot of people who are benefactors in the game, people who invest money, time, effort into the game. But the truth is, majority of them have a familial connection. They have a son on the team. They have a son involved in the program, or their sons are there's always a familial connection. Look at PB Fit. There's very few people who are really a true benefactor the way Rob is. He's stuck in the game like we are, man. Like, the web got him too, and he can't get out even if he wants to. He should be buying fancy dinners in Italian restaurants and playing the course, the golf course. But
He's still doing all that.
He is, what I'm saying? But, he can't help but be involved in the mix. The game got him just as much as it's got all the rest of us,
Absolutely.
And he's really the man. He's given a lot of opportunities to me and others. And this weekend was an opportunity for us to honor him.
Yeah, he's a legend. Has the best energy.
Definitely.
Best energy of anyone. He's just always, every time I see him, it's like a movie scene. We're like, "What's up?" Hey!
Absolutely, man.
I know. I love when he calls and I'm in the car with my girlfriend. I'll just put it on speakerphone because it's just comical. He's just so Italian, He's like, he reminds me of my dad, and we just laugh, because he's so animated, has so much passion. And we were talking before the show about culture. He's a big part of the culture that we've been able to build here with New York Wrecking Crew. Obviously, he believes in it and is bought in, just as much, if not more than anybody, and you bring up, him not having, a son that plays on the team and all that. But obviously, that's how he started, was playing with his son, and his son was on Wrecking Crew for many seasons. And, when I first came to the team, Chris, his son, was kind of on his way out, and I was really bummed because I was like, oh man, it's going to be, it's a bummer. It's another great paintball patron. I've built a good relationship with Rob. Love this team. Probably going to go away. And no, Rob was like, nah, fuck that. I'm all in. We're building a championship team, It's like, all right, let's go, Rob. Awesome. And I was like, okay, he'll last another year or two, but like, of course he's going to fizzle out. His boy's not in it. I think he's probably just hoping that his boy comes back, and his boy didn't come back. And Rob seems like he just fell more and more in love with the whole thing, and it's awesome to see. I'm so happy to see him kind of have that success, as well as all of you guys, because it, you guys are one of the organizations that works harder than, 98% of the teams out there. From an individual standpoint, what you guys do off the field to make sure that you guys can come together, the sacrifices you guys make for practices, all of the above. So to see it pay off is excellent. However, I just want to keep you guys a little bit in the right frame of mind. It's still a very long season, right?
Sure.
And this happened in Division 3. Got to get to World Cup, winning World Cup. That's the one, right? That's the one.
Always.
So got to stay focused and just kind of keep one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's really back to the drawing board. Like you said, it's back to a lot of the same fundamentals. I mean, one thing that's really nice about this event is I feel like we really got back to our fundamentals. We really got back to what we should have been. I think for a little bit there in the Las Vegas event and a little bit prior, we were trying to play a brand of like perfect paintball. And I think you really guided us. Marcelo was put on display at our last event. And I really believe everything happens for a reason. And that gave us an opportunity to expose the weakness in our game. Yes, we were, no one's here that's not talented. Everyone here is good paintball players. But there was something we were missing. I think part of that was like, not trying to play perfect and willing to take smart risks and the kind of, the good risks, the risks that are calculated, the risks that are worked with your brother in 2-man operations. That's what it's about. It's not about playing perfect. It's about taking the right risks at the right time, And I really think that's something we embodied this weekend, and it really paid off big time.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. That's something that I've noticed with this team for a long time too, is I see you guys play in certain matches, and I see you guys play obviously a lot in practice. And then I would watch our film from Sundays, because how many times have we, after an event where the team loses, we, at the very next practice, we run it back, and it's a painful 2-3 hour session where we're breaking everything down. And the common theme is we button up. we button up, which means it's a mental thing, and we allow the moment to get bigger than it is, right? So, we put a lot of focus on that heading into this next event, and you guys really bought into that, right? You guys had a really great practice with leverage where you were experimenting all sorts of stuff to get comfortable with that. And then watching, even though it was just through FaceTime on the iPhone, watching, it just seemed like you guys were playing with such freedom. And that's when you guys are the best, because this team was built to be incredibly dynamic. We have a ton of weapons, really sharp fundamentals. You guys work on all of the actual mechanics all the time. So why not utilize that, right? And then the real, the way that you really win championships is you have that, you use that, but then when it's time for discipline, you can play disciplined paintball after you've, earned that advantage. And you guys have just absolutely bought into that.
100%, man. I mean, that basically describes how we tried to play this weekend in totality, really. And it's been a growing process, like when there's a lot of expectations on this team, and there's a lot of good players, and it's competitive there. All teams that have a lot of good players, it's competitive. I feel like we have the deepest roster in semi-pro. I'm almost sure at any time a lot of teams would love to take our 5 guys that aren't playing. You know what I mean? I know I would if I was a coach on another team. So it's just about breeding the right competitions and not letting it get toxic, but letting the steel sharpen the steel.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah, it's so important to have. I like having 10 guys, right? It's up to the coach to not let too many bodies be a problem. But if you have 10 players that are bought in and aren't, crying if they're not getting play time, they understand that you got to earn it. And once you do, you will get the play time. It keeps it competitive. It keeps the culture in the right spot. That is invaluable, right? Like, it's so important. And, it's a hard thing to do. Like, again, you're a player that has started in recent events on the team, and then, you sat back and didn't get to play because you were injured. The team wins. And a lot of players would honestly low key be kind of bummed. Like, damn, like I wasn't out there and I don't feel, but what did you say in the group chat? You literally said to the team, this is your most favorite win ever.
It's my favorite.
Yeah,
by far.
Totally. And that's something that I've understood about you from day one, is you are such a team first individual. And there's a lot of people that act like they're team first individuals, but they're really not. I've gotten to know you well enough to understand, like, you really do ride or die for the team. And I think it's because you understand the importance of that too. You're very, very wise. I love talking paintball with you, Tyler. Wait until we get into some stuff. I mean, Splitty he's the man. He really has a great understanding of the game.
Okay, why they call him Splitty? I got to know immediately.
Oh man, here we go.
Okay, so I gave him the nickname Splitty. So look, when was the first practice with you? It was like 2 seasons ago.
Oh man, tryouts.
3?
We were playing ML Kings and Russians down in Florida. Yeah, it was before the first event last year.
Did you Splitty some wigs? What were you doing out there? Huh?
So Splitty is a freak athlete. This dude is jacked, shredded, fast, flexible. Like, this is what he does, right? This is literally what he does. He's always on his shit. His diet is pretty impeccable. Like, he does all the things. His fundamentals on the paintball field, a little goofy, right? A little goofy. I love you, my boy. A little goofy.
No doubt. But I'll take it.
But you know what? Like, he just gets it done. Literally, that's what I was saying, and people were like, yeah, I don't know. Like, he's good. He has a good understanding, but he's pretty new. Yeah. And I'm watching him play.
He gets
and
to the buzzer.
I'm like, yo, he sees moves and has timing that, like, it's hard to teach. It's hard to teach the kind of stuff that Steve has. Fundamentals needed some work. So one of the things he does, he still does it every so often. When he gets into the snake, he puts his legs out directly in front of him. So he's almost in like a split position, right? And he'll bounce up and down from that, gunfighting. And it looks like you're going to tear a hamstring. But 2, the reason it's not good, and I know we've had this discussion, right? The reason it's not good is because it does limit you from being able to get low when you need to quickly, and it also puts too much space between you and the bunker, right?
Drags you too far from your prop.
So it's not the most ideal form, and I know for a while you thought it was, because you felt really effective in being able to pop over the top and like be kind of mobile in the gunfight, right? And in the lower divisions that worked because the other team's not making moves on the other side of the field as quickly or
Hold on,
as
hold on.
unexpected.
100%.
Are you telling me my boy's doing the splits and gunfighting out of
Yes.
safety? Is that what you're telling
Yes,
me?
that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So literally,
Dang.
you know, because
And
we already
effectively. Bow, bow.
effectively, facts.
Get him.
So we already have a Steve on the team. Obviously, everybody knows young Stevie.
Young
and
Stevie.
so I was like, "Yo, Splitty,"
Splitty.
and he hated it at first. He's like, "That's not sticking." I'm like, "Bro, Splitty is sticking," and now like he owns it. I think he has a tattoo of Splitty on his shoulder.
Damn, that's got to be next, man. Hey, maybe we get the pro spot. We might have to do that.
Yeah, so Splitty, bro, and everybody calls him Splitty now.
Yeah,
you watch him play. He's always like he's doing some crazy kind of
Well, you're really well known now as Splitty. People are gonna know. People are gonna know. But hey, I gotta say, man, congratulations, because I know you haven't been. How long have you been playing tournament paintball total?
Going back, I actually am probably in the same age as y'all. I was around kind of in the late 90s, early 2000s, playing some ball, but then fell away from the game, came back about 7 years ago. So this is my 7th season since I've been back.
Amazing, man. Yeah, and the pedigree, because obviously you know the game from the early days, to bring that pedigree into the current iteration of paintball and to be able to be climbing the way that you guys are together is really impressive. So keep up the great work. And you were talking about playing perfect paintball, and I thought that was really interesting, and how it's a construct of the mind, right? And when you watch it on video, you're able to see, oh, we're making these mistakes or these mistakes. But when you're in the moment, there's these constructs that you put up in your mind, and it causes you to play maybe imperfect paintball, quote unquote, But what does that mean to you? Like, what does perfect paintball mean to you, and how can that be a blockade to actually playing the right paintball?
Like, how can that be a bad thing? And you just said it's perfect. What's the problem?
Yeah.
I think the problem is no one's actually perfect. And the other problem is it's a team game. So like, I think a lot of times, maybe you guys can agree or disagree. I see even in the lower portion of the pros, guys are playing so tight and so like they respect their opponent's gunfight so much. And there's so much inside action because of the fact that people literally just don't want to engage on their tapes at all. Sometimes, I'm not saying everybody plays like that, but I think there's this idea of like, I can win if I just don't give up anything, And I think the reason why I love this sport is because nothing's 100%. So like the truth is spamming hide is good sometimes, sometimes all you do have to do is just hide for a little bit, but I think when the whole team, but I think when the whole team is totally focused on that, what ends up happening is no one's taking any advantages. You're not giving up necessarily certain things, but you're not taking any advantages either. And I think part of it maybe should have to do with like how much better you are than your opponent. Cause like, and that's why I don't understand about some of the lower portions of the pros where it seems like they only want to play perfect paintball and not take any risks against teams that they're like objectively, you could argue they're objectively not as good at them. So like, shouldn't you be a little bit, you should almost want to push some of the razor a little bit on some risks, but then it's like, but don't do stupid risks. So like nothing's 100%, you're always having to limit, and I think there's different types of risks. I think that's a big part of it too. People think like, okay, all risks are equal. Like you talking to your boy, playing bully ball on the widest guy, low wrapping on the home and then getting wide. Like that's not a dumb risk. That's a calculated, like choreographed move. You know what I mean? There's a risk involved in it. You might get shot, you know what I mean? But like you are covering a lot of bases, and at a certain portion of the point in the game, that's most likely a worthy trade-off. You know what I mean? So I think that if that kind of helps describe what I think of perfect paintball and how it goes wrong is like, we're not looking for those types of opportunities.
Yeah. What I see really often, it definitely in divisional, but even in the pro leagues, when you're playing too tight, you're missing a lot of stuff. Like my game is to play really tight, right? But I'm tight in the gunfight. I'm tight in my bunker, but I'm not tight mentally. Like I'll be up over the top. I'm scanning. I'm constantly, I'll be doing my job, and that's my focus. And I'm not, again, no absolutes, right? Like there's a fine line of looking over to the left and dropping your zone and someone slips into the snake. Yeah. But, through my experience, I understand like, okay, I'm holding this player out of the snake. I just saw their barrel turn. So they're looking to the left. They're not going to jump across right now. I have a quick second to like look over, gather information, come like you can kind of tell, Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like you can tell when you're gunfighting someone that you've submitted them for like 3 or 4 seconds. You can tell when they're trying to engage, and then you can tell when they're like, okay, give me a couple seconds. I don't even know how to explain that one to people, but it's something you can feel in the gunfight, right? And so
Absolutely.
when you get that okay, gather some information. Okay, now I'm back, and when you're not doing that, you're only focused on one part of the field. There's a lot of holes. And if all 5 players are doing that, that's where there's all these, big time holes. And that's what, that quote unquote perfect paintball is like. Go to your spots and watch a zone and be really diligent, not letting somebody get through there. But there's going to be holes. There's going to be missed opportunities. There's going to be things that just don't go your way. You're watching the zone, somebody goes through, you bounce them, and then now the plan is crumbled because of a little bit of luck,
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely. I love it. What do we say, right? It's play loose to earn the advantage, play discipline to keep it. Right.
Yes, sir.
That's a mantra that I've been instilling in you guys and the Misfits. It came up. I forgot which team I was with when it first came to mind, but I was like, this is what we need to move forward with, play loose to earn the advantage. Cause you got to play loose to earn the advantage. You got to make moves. You got to be able to dunk. You got to play with that freedom, but then play discipline to keep it. And now that doesn't mean, you could break that down and unpack it in so many different ways. Cause someone might receive that as, okay, if it's 2-1, because we were playing loose, we earned the advantage. Now we have an advantage at 2-1. So let's just play discipline. That's not what it means. It actually means even when you have an advantage within the point, right? Yeah. So we're up 2-1. We play 5-on-5. We break out. We need to play loose. But as soon as we get 2 kills, now the discipline is important. You suffocate them, right? But if if you break out, you're up 2-1, and you're like, oh, let's play discipline. You break out in like a hold play. You get run over. That's not what we're talking about. Right. There's major nuance there in
big time.
Play loose to earn the advantage and discipline to keep it. But yeah, sorry, little tangent, but
no, you're right. You got to be dancing out there to earn points. You got to get to the buzzer, and you're not going to get to the buzzer by hanging around in the back line or not making any moves, especially in the current day of paintball. If you're not making moves, you're not going to win. I mean, it's just, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right. You got to apply that pressure, and you got to do it, like you were saying, Stevie, in such a tactful and choreographed way to where there isn't the type of risks that most see. When we're playing top level paintball, there's actually very little risk. I mean, don't get me wrong. We do, when we read a seam and we say, okay, this is my chance, I'm going to risk this because I feel like I've leveraged this situation and I can take advantage here. That's kind of a little bit more of a risk, but a lot of the stuff that we're all doing out there is highly choreographed and really well thought out. And before we ever do it, we've talked about it, numerous times and gone through all the rhythms of it. So what may seem like something that is, off the cuff is actually something that is really, really honed in to a high level.
Yeah. And like, even
go ahead, brother.
I was going to say, even along those same lines, like thinking about perfect paintball, a lot of those early 5v5 situations are where there's a lot of choreography and there's a lot of planned movements. But speaking of taking risks, I mean, one thing I think a lot of teams don't do and lack is those moments where the game is totally being lost. A lot of times it'll be one side coming down, huge major flag on another side. And there's a point in the game where it's like, hey, let's take risks, man. You see 3 of your homies coming off and you're already down 2 points in the set. Like, let's go try to make something happen. You know what I mean? So even that's like another situation where it's like, there's even a time in paintball where it's like, dude, put your hair down and stop trying to choreograph shit because the game's about to end. Go try to make some magic happen,
Depending on the clock. Yeah, absolutely. And you got to be like weighing everything out. And as long as the game isn't, at a certain situation with the clock, absolutely. You want to make it easier on your coach. You don't want him sitting there like, oh my God, do I got to blow this right now? Or are you guys going to do something? Or are we just going to lose? No, try to win. Because if you can win situations, and I mean, we've talked about this tirelessly throughout the years on multiple organizations, winning these situations that you're not supposed to win is the only way you win tournaments. You have to win things that you're like, they're like, if you win a couple of those, 2, 3, 4 of those, then there's a high likelihood that in that event you'll place in the top 3 or win the tournament.
But you got to win majority of the points that you're supposed to win.
Of course.
And you have to steal some points you're not supposed to win. That's the formula for winning a tournament.
Sir.
If you do that, if you're in like the 90% on the points you're supposed to win, so when you have an advantage, you get a kill off the break, you own a side, and then you can steal like 20 or 30% of the points you're not supposed to win. Hold it, hoist it up. Hoist up the trophy.
That's how it goes. That's really how it goes. Yeah, and it's cool to see you guys stepping into semi-pro, 2 tournaments in, getting a dub. What does that feel like? What's the sentiment right now between the guys? I'm sure everyone's stoked, but you got to stay humble too. You know, you almost have to treat it like it's nothing, really. And
it's tough, man, because like I'm a little bit older, just like you guys. We're in our 30s. You know, we're not like necessarily 20-year-olds. We've been, you know, I've been competing in sports and competitions my whole life. You know what I mean? I've been a lifelong competitor. So I know there's like a back and forth, you know, because there's like this rub where it's always the next tournament. It's always more training. It's always get better. But at the same time, there also needs to be an appreciation of the moment. That's one thing I hate about paintball is like everyone's always flying the next weekend. People are always, and it's like we really have a hard time finding moments to appreciate the wins, which really sucks if you think about it, with all the sacrifice and everything that goes into finally getting some wins. You know, it sucks that we don't get a chance to appreciate the moment. So
I don't know. You just got to fly down to like Cancun or Punta Cana right after
I
World
know.
Cup.
I need to get my move of the weekend and get my vacation paid for.
Exactly. That's all you got to do.
I'm working on it.
Shout out to Pate Smith Law.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pate.
But yeah, it is a rub though, I feel like, because at the end of the day, it is just one tournament and this is a long season and it's going to take more commitment, you know, and we're going to have to redouble efforts, triple efforts if necessary. That's what it takes. But I think in the end, you know, Marcelo has given us a formula for victory. I think I texted you one time and gave you the breakdown. Like if I had to put, you know, in a few sentences, what I would put your philosophy and what you've given us, like that's our blueprint, so to speak, you know? And so even though there's a lot of work to be done and we got to get better, you know, we know what we got to do and we know how to get there. So in a way, it's kind of relieving because we just got to do the work.
Yeah, you're right, Splitty. It is. I feel like it is more relieving than anything because now it's like, okay, now we belong. We know that we can win, right? We don't have to be, you know, arrogant about it. We don't have to, you know, even show off the win, but within the camp, within the organization, again, it's about building that culture, right? Okay, we've been winning. We stepped up to semi-pro. We can win. Let's keep doing the work. Let's find ways to get better. Let's find ways to expedite because teams are going to be trying to catch up. Or maybe, you know, maybe the mud had something to do with it and teams weren't at their best. Maybe there was a little bit of luck, you know. You just got to stay focused. You know, it's so funny. That's how I look at it. Every single event we've won, I like sit there and I pick it apart. I'm like, yeah, we got kind of lucky here. Oh, that was a fragile win. We shouldn't have won that one. You know, I'm like not even really enjoying it. Actually, I'm like, damn, we made all these mistakes and we made that mistake and this mistake and we shouldn't have got that point, you know, and it's really the way that you should be looking at it. Now, you do pair it with appreciating it and enjoying it because it's a lot of hard work and sacrifice, and for it to pay off should be recognized. But, you know, the only way to keep elevating and keep having those results and have consistency and being in the top 4 or always a Sunday team or in the finals is about constantly looking at what you could do better, even when you win. Even if you win every single game in a tournament, there are a, you know, mountain of mistakes that were probably made. The other team just made 1 or 2 more mistakes than you did. Does not mean you were mistake free, right?
Yes, sir. And even if we were kind of close, I mean, this is not the end of our goals. You know, we want to be where you guys are. You know, that's what we feel our destiny is. So we know we could smoke every semi-pro team off the field and walk away with the gold, and that doesn't mean shit for our longer term goals. So we know we got to work hard. You know we got to put in more effort because we have a gap to fill to get to where we ultimately want to get to, and that is to get to the pro level.
Damn.
Well, we already know you guys are going for it. And without a doubt, if you keep the trajectory and the work ethic and, you know, the camaraderie and the culture, like we've been talking about, going and the vibes in the right direction, there's no reason that you guys cannot accomplish that. I would be surprised to not see you guys, walking into the pro ranks. And I look forward to competing against you guys because I know how hungry you are, and having that kind of a sentiment and like an energy coming into the pros all the time is really good for the overall pro culture as well. Having fit, having blast camp, making Sunday, having all this new energy coming into the pro level has been really amazing to see. So many people are hungry and just chomping at the bit to get it. And that's what we need. That's the only way that we're going to survive into the future and keep developing this sport that we all love is having a really strong divisional and semi-pro ranks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We need young players that want to do what we do. That's the only way this thing keeps going forward. Speaking of that, Tom Cole has a very exciting meeting this Thursday. Can't say who it's with, but wow. This entity was sent the World Cup, some of the World Cup matches. They sent them, I guess, the finals match, Dynasty and Impact, little post-production thing. It's a major player, major. So I'm very curious.
We can't get the leak. No leak.
No, we can't get the leak. I gotta, again, I've got some integrity there, but hopefully, if anything good comes from it, we'll be the first to break the news. We shall see. But it's just exciting that, Tom and the team really are doing whatever they can to get things in front of the right eyes. Right. So I'm just really looking forward to the next little era of paintball where, you hear Maddie say it. We're definitely entering another golden age of paintball. We're in a great spot. Tons of awesome media. The venues have been badass. The events have been bigger than ever before. It's really an exciting time. There's just some things that we really need to fine tune and package the right way. Tyler, you've preached this from the very beginning. We got to figure out exactly how we want to package this thing. We have got to get rid of split deck. However we can do it, we just have got to. Steve had a great idea, young Stevie, and it was like the last game of each, Friday and Saturday, the premier game, which is usually let those be just, single deck. But I forgot what game. Oh, it was Russians versus Damage. And then the other set was like Uprising and someone else. It wasn't an exciting game, but the Russian Damage game was so exciting and the points were so fast. And then the other game.
Yeah.
And it was like, I emotionally, that's what sports are. They're emotion. Like, it was so easy for me. If I was a casual fan, if I wasn't trying to learn, I would have walked away because I got so invested. And then literally another point's on for 4 minutes. And I'm like, oh, this is dumb. I'm going to go into the kitchen and make some food. And then I go into the kitchen, my phone rings. Oh, I'm going to do this. But if I was just watching that Damage Rushing game, I would have been glued from start to finish, man. And I understand the time thing, this and that, yada, 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 yada. We have got to find a way to make it to where we don't have split deck for the stream. We just have got to find a way. So if there's outside money, like, Hertz, etc., that money should be put towards having another field, I think. Someone else brought up a really interesting point too. I don't know how this would work. I think it would be tough because if there's a 7-minute point, you would have to find things to talk about for 7 minutes. But they brought up sorry, I really don't remember whose idea this was off the top of my head. I'm not trying to take this as an original. It was someone else's. But if you could have basically 2 Go Sports towers on the pro field, and each tower is streaming one of the sets. So, Russians and Damage have Maddie and say Rich on this one, right? And then when that point's over and the other 2 teams come on, it cuts to that, and it's, Todd Martinez and Nick Sloviak or whoever it is. And the Maddie broadcast would cut to replays and talk about the previous, point and the big move that was made. And, and it might take like 5-6 minutes if there's a long point, but then okay. And now we're back into the next point, but it still keeps you engaged in like what's happening. I don't know how like logistically possible that is. I'm not,
just what they need some more expenses.
It takes money to make money.
To me. It does.
It takes money to make money.
It does.
And how much more expensive could that really be? It's like, an extra camera, maybe it's not even an extra camera. actually, because only one team can play. Yeah, it's no extra cameras. It would just be like the extra tower and the microphones and maybe some bandwidth stuff. I'm sure there's some extra expenses, but I don't think it's like adding a whole nother ghost sports.
Yeah. I mean, anything. We need to tell the stories, man. That's just the point blank truth of it. I mean, we don't get to tell the stories of the teams the way we do it now.
I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And someone had also mentioned, even if, like, say you have the split deck still going, having the the team that is going to get the most views and drive the numbers, have that be the show right there. And then obviously during that cut time where the other team's playing, you can be doing replays, stuff like that. And then it'll be a goal of your team to be like, we're going to be the premier game or whatever. We're gonna chomp at the bit and start whooping people's butts out here and be the one that's on the big games,
Yeah.
So it'll drive teams to get really hungry to get that slot as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I know we were kind of floating that. I know people have been floating that to Tom. Tom was talking about that too, and we were talking to him at the event. And I know maybe some teams might not like that because they might not get, but some of the lesser teams are still going to play the big dogs, so you're going to get some time in at the big stage. And I think honestly it'll elevate it'll be more of a big deal to be like, whereas it's just this 9-10 hour continuous stream of just more and more and more points. This way it's like this is the feature match, man. This is your time in front of everybody. Like, make sure you're looking tight, make sure you're looking sharp out there. I think it would really help. It would it almost cheapens the footage by doing it the way we do versus the way we're describing here is kind of more like elevating one over the other. So I know there's some give and take, but I think that'd be worth it.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting idea at the very least, to think about different ways that we can, like Marcelo said, we got to package it properly and be able to distribute this to the eyeballs of people who want to watch paintball, and they look at it and they go, holy this is crazy. I got to watch this. This is like, whoa, you see these guys out here? You got to come see this. Look at these guys and girls. And we'll get the WNXL thriving. We'll get all the divisions thriving. And that's how we continue to push paintball forward and really give it. You got to have the gears driving the gears inside with people wanting to just smash the people above them and get it really competitive. And then it's going to create, we could have rivalry games. Doesn't even have to be the top 4 teams necessarily in the ranking, but you could have we got the, LA team versus the South over here, or we got Florida and New York, and start to build out territories as well, because we see in sports all day long, basketball, football, you name it, where just these territories play each other. And it's like, oh, this is a huge game. These two territories are playing each other. So we got to start doing that.
And I think one thing that would help, including building these stories and stuff, I hate sometimes our footage, it comes off very negative. And what I mean by negative is the easy thing to commentate on a paintball match is who messed up. Okay, if you listen to the footage, everything's a bad death. Everything's a bad death. And I kind of get that, because from a paintball perspective, where I was anytime someone dies at the back line, you're like, man, couldn't that guy not die? But what sucks is we don't focus on the positive part. What about the guy who had a nice shot? When DK Metcalf burns the D-back for a touchdown, you might talk about how the D-back got burned, but only for a second. We're going to glorify the good play, not so much the mistake. And I think what happens when you're doing the fast commentating with no slowdown, we aren't able to attribute these plays to who started them. So we're not able to celebrate it. So all that's left is time to basically talk about the mistake and talk about, oh, he died early, he got shot early, as opposed to if we have time to slow down, we could talk about, look at that nasty snap, look at that reposition and surprise shot. A lot of those things get lost in the mix at the pace we commentate.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're right, man. We got to highlight these studs out there that are making great moves and plays. And I hope that someday, I know within the next 10 years, we're going to have an onboard little cam. I know that, in the foreseeable future, at least one of the players on the field will have a mic so that you can hear what's going on between the players. That's the future of the package that we're building for the world, is creating a digestible thing that people can watch and enjoy and have fun with. And I'm telling you, the mic is really one of the cornerstones of it. We've got to have at least one player on each side of the field with a mic. And even if you're not speaking, you can even pick up things from the other players that are yelling at you.
Yeah.
Just having the mic out there on one side of the field each allows us to like tap in. Okay, let's see what they're talking about out there. Let's see if they're going to make a move or what they're thinking, and really bringing that aspect of it into the game, because it's one of the most important reasons as to why I'm a good paintball player or you're a good paintball player. Any of us are good paintball players, is because we have the wherewithal to understand what to do at any given moment in time, because we've done so much mental work to figure out what's going on out here on this field at this particular, moment in time with the way that the situation is. That's the only way good players do what good players do. And we have to make sure that becomes a part of the show. And I know it will. It's just going to take time, but the technology is there. We're definitely there.
We're making moves. That's for sure,
Yeah.
man. The telestration alone has made a huge difference.
Oh my
God.
huge
difference.
Major.
Dude, the telestration is one of the coolest upgrades we've had to the webcast in a long time, because it's hard to see the paintballs. And actually, I've learned pink doesn't help. The pink paintballs do absolutely nothing for ghost sports. Now, what it does do is for like social media content and stuff like that.
And as a player, I can see the paintballs way better. It
is pretty cool as a player. It is. I do like it as a player. I wish that I would still prefer the neon yellow. Just it's like a little more sporty and kind of is. Well,
hold on. Half of your paintball is still purple, bro.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I need that dynasty badge. That's what I say. I need that dynasty badge.
I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, it is funny. We have like the GI print on the pink ball, so it's like, I don't know how pink this is.
Hey, it works. You can still see it better than a full, like
100%.
For sure,
way better.
But where was I going with that? With the pink not being
telestrator?
But the telestrator is just incredible, because it gives you just an idea of what's going on out there. And I saw somebody on Instagram. Again, sorry, don't remember who it was, had a really cool idea. Maybe you guys have seen it, but it was like a moving heat map. So it had 5-on-5, and as the players advanced, that whole section would be kind of like transparently highlighted in red or blue based on what team you're on. So it gave the viewer a really cool read on like how much real estate a team had based on all 5 players. And when they lost one, that whole section would draw back. It was a really unique perspective. Like that could be a cool little thing to have in like the bottom right corner. You know how in video games they have like the map down there that shows mini map. Yeah, so that would be a really cool thing to have as like a little mini map, in the bottom. And then that way, when you're switching back and forth from camera angles, you still always have the overhead view of like what exactly is going on, and you don't need to see it up close because you have the heat map.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually going to try to find that Instagram. If you're listening to this and that was your idea, please message me, because I would love to find a way to integrate that as a mini map with Go Sports if they're open to it. Because I think it's one of the coolest things I've seen for how to film paintball. So please reach out if you are listening, or if you know who it was. Somebody's got to know who it was. Send me the link.
Definitely. Yeah. And big ups to Go Sports. Everything that they've been doing to develop the program has been tremendous. Everybody out there who has been like chipping in to make everything work too. There's so many people that go unnamed, but you know who you are out there who's really going to bat for paintball and making sure that this thing is growing in the right direction. And it takes everybody. So major love to everybody out there working hard for this game.
Yes, sir.
Big time. Yeah. So Splitty, I want to kind of dive in, to your time with Wrecking Crew, and actually some of the teams you've been on before that, and really how Wrecking Crew is different, and what it takes to build a successful organization.
Man, it's kind of funny because I was like bouncing around in like D3 newbies, and I had some friends of mine, some young kids in D4 that I kind of backed up and tried to build those guys up. And I've been floating around kind of. I think everyone knew I took this thing very seriously from the get-go. And I was really just kind of floating around paintball looking for my tribe, you know what I mean? And I kind of at some point kind of resigned myself that I wasn't going to find it, that maybe I had to build it. And And so I was kind of banging my head against that. Basically about 2 years ago when Rob called me, and asked me if I'd like an opportunity. It was an easy decision. Yes, sir. Tell me when and where. And ever since then, man, everything's changed with the way I look at this thing. My boy Chris Lennon, who had an amazing weekend this weekend, dude's a dog. If you don't know him, you're going to know him soon. But he said something very clever to me. He was like, this place had the questions and the answers. They had the questions that you didn't know how to ask, and then it had the answer right behind it. And that's how I feel about this organization as well. It felt like for the first few weekends, every weekend I was getting hit with something that blew my mind, as far as just something that I wasn't aware of was doing wrong. And now that it's been shown to me how clearly right this is, it's like I feel like I'm just instantly a better player, just understanding that concept, And there's been a lot of those concepts. And then I realize now, trying to teach it to other people, these concepts chain. So sometimes you can't even teach someone a concept until you teach them concepts that come before that. And I think this program has a way of not skipping steps, but helping people get to the end a lot faster than they otherwise would. And I think a perfect example from this weekend was a dude, my boy, Tommy Hawkins, man. This kid just came out of nowhere, man. And to be dead honest, I don't think there's anybody involved with this organization who would have put Tommy. He's a great player, great kid, but was kind of like in project status, so to speak.
Yeah, see, I disagreed with you guys on that from the very first damage practice he came out to.
On it.
Because I coached him in Team USA last year, right? And he earned the starting spot over one of the best kids on Wrecking Crew, Chip, And what I saw from him, and I saw two things. I saw progression from the tryouts, the Team USA tryouts, to the actual Team USA event, and then the progression from that year to the year after. And I was just like, whoa, okay, this kid has it. So the progression was huge, right? And then when we went down in Florida and practiced damage, the things that I saw from him, I was like, it was the first day, I think it was Friday, or maybe it was Saturday. It was one of the first days. What I saw from him, I was like, he's going to start on this team. He's absolutely. And man, Rob was like,
the vision, baby.
Yeah, dude, that kid is so impressive. And when I first started working with him, it was the same thing. I didn't think he was ready. I was like, because Anthony Vitale was the one who was really pushing for him to come out to Team USA. And I was like, I love the kid. Great attitude, all that, but needs time, and then he just flipped the switch. Yeah. But sorry to interject there.
All good.
I had the
yeah, you had the vision. So Mark Marcello down on the column, he knew.
I make sure to rub that into Rob for sure, because we had some debates about that.
Good. And Rob ain't always right.
Rob ain't always right.
Dude, Anthony Vitale really pulled one out of a hat there too, huh? He was like, no, definitely get him in. And then once he was in there from Team USA, we saw him stunting out there.
Yep.
And it's just been blossoming.
Yeah.
Well, and to speak on that, I mean, this kind of leads into culture, because I think what he did this weekend speaks to our culture. And people talk about culture, but they don't really give a lot of details. So I'll try to give a couple. The one thing that I think has to be the bedrock of a culture in a competitive athletic environment is meritocracy, meaning the best players play. It doesn't matter how long you've been on the squad. If homie outplays you, homie gets the start. And what Tom did was, from the first day of practice to Sunday at 7 p.m. when we finished that event, he was the best guy at his position. He bought into the team's philosophy of how we were going to play the field and play that side. And he played a tough position nearly flawlessly. And I think that speaks to the idea that, when you got this amount of good players and killers, the culture has to be to push each other. And that means try to play better than the guy next to you. You know what I mean? Be a better asset to the team. And if we're all playing that game at the same time in a non-toxic way, we can all push each other. But part of that is it has to be a meritocracy. The best player has to play. Whoever's playing the best position, the hottest, has to get his time. And I think what that does is it allows others to know that they too can have their time to shine, but it's going to have to come through performance. There's no shortcutting it. This guy just got on the team, had played one event, and the second event, he's starter. He's the guy. He plays every down, and he gets the MVP award. You know what I mean? And that's got to be the bedrock of a culture. You know, anything else will undercut it and drive out that competition, the spirit of competition.
Man, just spitting concrete facts on the airwaves out here. Yeah, and that is absolutely right. You gotta make sure that everyone is driven and in a healthy way, and that's gonna create a championship organization.
Absolutely, you got to turn the heat up. The kitchen's got to get hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You got to turn the heat up.
I like the AC a lot more than the heat.
Oh, come on, man.
But I think he embodies a lot of what we do at this team, what you guys were helping me to do, which is get my game to a higher level faster than I otherwise would have. You know what I mean? And when you got that kind of culture popping, anything's possible. You know, at any one time, any guy can start cracking and tweaking out there.
Yep.
Do you think?
Go ahead, March.
Do you think that you guys put in more hours discussing strategy on a layout than any other team in your division? Or do you think you guys work more on the fundamentals on a layout than the other teams?
Both, if I'm being honest.
I'm
almost positive we think about the game more than our opponents, generally speaking, individually and together. And I think we probably spend more time than our opponents on fundamentals, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Like, I know where the guys' work ethic are around me. I know what a lot of the top semi-pro teams' work ethic is. You know what I mean? And if I compared them, I think we're working better and harder in both categories, to be honest.
What do you think is more important?
In the long run, fundamentals are more important because they're going to pay off for a longer period of time. But if we're talking about spiking a tournament tomorrow, I mean, how many fundamentals can we learn in a 24, 48 hour period versus in 24 to 48 hours, smart, intelligent players can break down a whole field and figure out how to play it and give themselves the greatest advantage. So maybe, I guess it depends on the timeline that you're judging from.
Yeah, I think personally, I think this team has really elevated in the last 2 seasons because you have been a huge extension of the strategy that we discussed. So from the very first meeting you were in with us to now, between you and Steve especially, I feel very confident that when I'm not there, you guys understand strategy and how to break down fields and put plays together. And obviously that came to fruition this weekend with you helping out in the pit with Andy. But yeah, I got to push back on that. I don't think it's the fundamentals. All the teams in your division have good fundamentals. You guys probably do put in a little more work, and that will reveal itself. But I could tell in the last year, things are starting to click for you guys in regards to how to set up a play, right? And what do I mean by that? It's not just this play. It's like, hey, we want to go to the 50 snake, so let's go to the 50 snake. No, you want to go to the 50 snake? Well, who can shoot the 50 snake? This tower? Okay, so let's step out over here, shoot into that tower, right? Go to the 50 snake, but then also go to the corner out here. So if we lose the 50 snake, at least we're wide, so now we're playing 4-on-5 with good field advantage, the intricate details that are really hard to learn. I mean, it took me 20 years plus of experience in actually doing this to, have some of these concepts, and you guys are grasping them, and not only grasping them, now being able to come up with them on your own has been such an amazing thing to see. And, the meetings that we're in, you'll bring stuff up to me that I'm like, absolutely spot on. I actually am really impressed that you recognize that. I don't know how you have. I have, there's players in the pro division that aren't seeing this stuff. So for me, I really believe that that's actually probably the biggest piece to your guys' success right now.
Probably, man. And it goes back to you. I know, we preach the fun, the Marcelo philosophy, you know what I mean? Like, to us, we have a few different things that we live by that you've given us to work on. And like you said, one of them is do everything with intention, specific intention, not only your play calls, but your moves on the field as well. And like you said, things are thick, they're not, it's simple, not easy. Like, You want to get wide, you want to send a snake runner, you don't just get to send a snake runner. You got to earn it. You need to play pocket first. You need to play short. You need them to make them respect you first. And then you can set up that play where you want to go wide, or you can just spam wide. Some people want to do that. That's another strategy to go. But the way we prefer, when you spam wide, you don't get to use a lot of the intellect that you're talking about. You're really living off the athleticism of your team. And I think what this event proved to me was how much better it is to try to win with your mind and your play calling and with intention than just trying to win through athletic ability.
Totally.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. And I love what you said about intention as well, because through that intention, you're going to have to dig deep and walk if we're talking about knowing the paintball field and knowing what to do out there, you need to walk every single bunker 10 times and go to every single spot on the field, on your side, on their side. Shots change on both sides. We're talking about a lot of time just spent looking at things so that when you choose to unify that intention, everyone has the wherewithal to know what's going on in those parameters of what we're talking about on this field. Without doing that work. And that's really what I'm trying to get at here is it's a tremendous amount of work, thought processing, actual physical time on the field, looking with your eyeballs at everything that's out there and then coming together as a collective to talk about it. That's a lot of effort. But what we see is the teams that obviously you do the work, you get what you put in. If you're going to have if you want to win something, then you give everything that you got to it, and then you're going to have a really good chance at it. So when you all are putting in all that tremendous amount of work, it's just like it's infectious too, and everybody
100%.
starts getting hungrier and hungrier, and it feeds everyone.
It does. It raises everyone's level. You know what I mean? It gets infectious, like you said.
Yep. Yeah, and you guys have been working hard, man. You're chomping at the bit. It's fun to see you guys work. It's inspiring to all of us. I mean, me as a pro player, I'm inspired by art, right? And I think of this sport as its own art form. And y'all are artists out there painting, and it's inspiring to watch. So keep doing it. Keep it up.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, so Splitty, let's talk about your off the field training and what you do to prepare for events, because you actually have a pretty unique paintball specific routine, and I think the listeners would enjoy hearing that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been training the body for a long time. You know what I mean? I found weights when I was about 13 or 14.
Months old?
Nah, I wish not that young. Well, about 13, 14 years old, I think.
Since I was a baby. Boom.
Yeah, popping it. I think so. I've had the opportunity to do different types of training. I've gone through times where I was just trying to put on muscle, times where I was trying to be athletic. And I kind of have some different years of training and some different experiences. And one thing I love about this sport is you kind of need to be like super well balanced. So you want to have strength, you want to have explosiveness, but you also need to have balance. You need to have rigidity. You need to be able to hold awkward squatted positions for long periods of time. You need to be flexible. You need to be durable so you can go lots of points. You need to have anaerobic capability so you can be fast from 0 to 100, but then you need aerobic ability so you can go point to point to point to point without not being fatigued mentally or physically. So I think for me, the way I see it, it's kind of like a threefold trifecta of training where we want to mix sprint training with mobility / yoga in with that resistance training to put some strength on our bodies and on our frames to keep us, I like to say you can get jacked getting athletic, but you won't necessarily get athletic getting jacked. And I think that's really important. You don't just having big, strong body doesn't necessarily make you a better paintballer, but having strength that you're able to recruit into explosiveness from prop to prop, that's something you can use in paintball. So for me, it's kind of evolved over these last years, but that trifecta is kind of where I'm at now between sprint training, resistance training, and yoga and mobility are the three things I focus on.
Yeah, paintball is brutal. I mean, anybody that plays knows. You go play some paintball and you're like, yo, what? How is this sore?
Yeah. But like you're not going to get real, like our biggest injuries we got to worry about are really like soft tissue, tears, soft tissue sprains and whatnot, pulled hammies, hurt knees and ankles. So like I'm really into like knees over toes. I'm really into building like longer ranges into our workouts, because I think we need to be strong in extended ranges, not just,
That's so true.
squared up evenly with my barbell and I should, what I mean? Like that's not how it happens in the real world and on the paintball field and on any field. It's dynamic, it's moving, it's asymmetric,
Yep. You got to be a breakdance fighter pretty much. You got to be like, like strong and able to get a good range of motion as well. I love what you said about that too, because when you're gunfighting, you have to think of it like you do have a radius, like a range of motion that you're able to go to from your starting point and gunfighting people. So being able to be really strong in all those motions of being able to, be pliable and able to get low and get high and then have a snapshot out of the top right, be immediately down at the bottom left corner and then out the right side at the middle. Like making those quick movements and being able to have that quick range of motion is going to help you tremendously in gaining dominance on your opponents and being able to keep your opponent guessing, because you want to make your opponent do what you want them to do, not the other way around. You don't want to be at the mercy of an opponent that's hammering your bunker and you can't do anything about it. You got to find a way to get some dominance. And the only way you do that is by having a big, range of motion and being able to get to those spots. So training for that is tremendous in this game for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not easy. You got to have that core on lock. Everybody knows it's a tough paintball game. When you start gunfighting, you're like, man, it gets tiring.
Absolutely, man. Sure. All about that trunk, the core, the back, the legs. I mean, that's where it all comes from. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely. Splitty, what do you think the league could be doing better to get our game in front of the masses? If you were in Tom Cole's position, what ideas would you have that, you think could spice things up? And I'm not sure if you did that intentionally, but you just muted yourself.
He's coming back.
Can you hear
there
me?
You go. Yep, we got you.
I have no idea why I literally wasn't touching anything. But, okay, well, it's funny because everybody's got an opinion for Tom, right? Tom, hey, here's another opinion coming right at you. I think one thing is we want to improve the stream. We know we want to improve the stream. There's things that have been done to improve the stream, the things that we're going to do to improve the stream. For me, I would love the guys at Go Sports. And I know it comes, so you asked me about the league and I'm talking about Go Sports, unfortunately, because if we talk about it in the masses, like how we present the product is kind of like, it's kind of the same question. I would love them to go watch like some PUBG international tournaments on Twitch and watch the coverage and how they do this mix between, now it's a lot easier in the digital world because these are just literally computer programs that can do this very easily. We're talking IRL, so it's a totally different thing. But what they do perfectly is they're able to get into the first person perspective, show that perspective without losing the global perspective. So 1 minute you're flying into red team as they're coming up to the wherever they're about to meet blue team. And then all of a sudden, right before they fight, it might pop you up to God mode and you're watching those teams again. And I think what they do a good job of is this back and forth, because it really is a team game, is back and forth from the individual perspective to the global team perspective. And I think that's what we're missing. And I think the video cameras, once we figure that technology out, how to get the FPS in with the global, is going to really make it look so much better, because it looks so cool, man. From a first person perspective, sometimes to mix those in looks so cool, to see the paint, see the fight. They're very difficult and challenging angles to get. But if we can get those angles, man, I think it just turns the footy crazy. It turns the stream, and like we already talked about, getting rid of split deck, so we can actually build some storyline here, show some of the better sides of the game as opposed to the mistakes. And that would be my major thing. I think the game's going great. I think NXL is doing as good of a job as they can. My only thing would just be, as we improve the stream, this game's just going to keep getting better and better. That would be the number one.
Improve the stream. I agree. Improve the stream. But then we got to find ways to get people to see it. Doesn't matter how good it is if people aren't watching it, right?
So you know what Tom was kind of saying, I see both sides of it, and Tom was kind of saying, like, you don't want to build the highway unless you got somewhere to take them to, so to speak. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, it's like I see merit in both. You know what I mean?
I agreed.
I see merit in both.
Speaking of caffeine, I want to see. I forgot it was all being streamed on there. I wonder what kind of numbers they
caffeine
did.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and is it streamed live on Caffeine TV as the tournament's going, or is it after the event?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's after. Go Sports needs their.
Okay.
They get first.
That's right. Yeah, because Go Sports, obviously, people are paying for the Go Sports, and then it's going to be streamed after on Caffeine TV.
Wow. So I'm seeing right here, April 26th through 28th, NXL Lone Star Major has 158,000 views. And then if you go right over 2024 Collegiate Rugby Championship, they have 163,000 views. Day one at the 2024 Bonzoy Gold Coast Pro, 2 million views. All right, we're a little behind. But 158,000 views, I mean, that's pretty sick. If these are like authentic, and there's been some chatter that these numbers aren't totally authentic. I think Verb was kind of trying to call them out for stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I think Caffeine TV is pretty legit. That's, if these are 158,000 new eyes, that's a good freaking start.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, we've got to remember to boost each other through this game. We spend so much time always critiquing and this, that, and other. It's
bro.
We need more positivity at in all ways possible. And, because
definitely.
People are watching, people are listening, and they want to see how we act as well. And we got to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward for ourselves in the way that we even critique ourselves. And having this on Caffeine TV is major. That, like you said, that's 100,000+ eyes that may have never seen paintball. And I'm sure as it goes forward, we're going to continue to get good numbers on there and keep, advertising. We got to make sure we all do our part as well to make a little post on your socials too, hype Caffeine, plug them on there, start getting traction going that way so that we can see that thing develop through there. But yeah, it's cool to see that happening. There's big news, like you said, March, that's being talked about right now.
Yeah.
That'll be developing soon that the implications could be pretty major on. So we'll see, we'll see how it keeps growing. I do want to talk about, obviously we just came off of the tournament out in Texas. And we had some different teams that, made it into Sunday paintball. Diesel is in Sunday, which is awesome to see them doing well. And I know that they're excited and hungry for the tournament to commence out there in Atlantic City. We're going to be playing, I think on Thursday, we're finishing the event out there at Atlantic City from what it sounds like.
Is it Thursday or Wednesday?
I think it's going to be Thursday from what I understand. But
so
once again,
be a practice.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So I will say that I do not know. It might be Wednesday, might be Thursday.
Yeah.
It'll be one of those 2 days for sure.
Well, because that would be super lame if the bottom 10 teams couldn't practice Thursday because the tournament's being finished Thursday. So the top 10 would get an extra day to play and warm up. That'd be a bummer.
See, that's probably why they're going to end up doing a full blind layout, because that's the only way that fixes everything. No one's missing out practice time if it's blind.
No,
right?
it's still practice time. Like shooting your gun and sharpening on that Thursday
we'll be technically practicing too,
That's what I'm saying. You guys will be. The bottom 10 won't.
Like they wouldn't still be able to practice.
Yeah, there'd still be practice spots available for teams to practice, I'd imagine.
On what field?
Well, we're not gonna.
You guys are going to be on the Texas layout. They're not going to set the other fields up with the Texas layout.
I would imagine they're just going to do one field with the Texas layout, and then the other ones will be whatever, just fields that people can practice on or whatnot.
Well, they have to set up the tournament. Yeah. Well, no, it wouldn't work. So they would have to set up on the other fields the tournament layout, right? So while the top 10 teams from Texas are playing the Texas layout, they're not going to allow the other 10 teams to practice on the layout that the tournament's being played on.
It wouldn't be the tournament field. It would just be random paintball fields,
You can't do that, though. You can't just set up a whole field and then have to rebuild
true.
8 fields,
Yeah, that'd be a lot of work, right?
Yeah. No, that's true.
A ton of work.
Yeah.
I
No, you
don't know that
definitely
they.
can't
Yeah,
do that. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure. Once again, I do not know. I
They're
do
probably
not
all
know.
banging their head against the wall right now, saying the same stuff,
But
yeah.
I do
trying
know
to
that
figure it out.
at some point we're going to be playing out there. And it was interesting. I guess a couple interesting notes from the tournament is NYX went 0-4. So they really got to,
Surprising.
you know, which is
Now
super
Pat Kraft
surprising.
was out, right? I think Pat Kraft and Will Hennessy were out.
Yeah.
Yes, they did have some injuries going on. So I hope that those guys are doing better and healing up for the tournament because I'm a huge NYX fan. Obviously, when I play against them, I want to beat everybody I play against. But I'm always rooting for my fellow, peers as well. We're all competitors, and I have some friends on there like Pat, and I hope he's doing good, man. It's never, and same with you, March. I know that you kind of tweaked your knee as well, and anytime that anybody has an injury, always want to make sure that our competitors are strong and everybody's doing good, and that way we can have a strong scene. It takes all of us, like I said, to make this paintball thing work. So we want to see them bounce back from that 0-4, and then also Infamous went 0-4, which is kind of surprising as well. And I don't know if it was, I don't know enough about, I didn't see all of their games, but definitely got to bounce back from that. And then Blast Camp made Sunday, which is huge for them.
Huge.
So the campers, yeah.
And it's kind of funny.
huge.
They made Sunday before Fit did, and that was always the rivalry, right? And
Yeah.
Fit would talk so much smack, beat them 5 events last year, and then Blast Camp goes. And I'll tell you what, though, man, Soap is a baller.
He's good.
He's so good, bro. And I've known this for a while now. He's so good.
He's creative. He's fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, teams are going to come for him. I don't know what his situation's like, but teams, I think teams have come for him already, but he played so well. He won so many games for them, so many games in the middle. Just, he knew when to set the trap. He knew when to go through. He knew when to, retreat. He knew when to be a bully. Like he was on fire in that middle.
Hey, guys are really surprised, man. But my team knows I called super early that Blast Camp would make a Sunday, and I thought Paintball Fit would make 2, and I thought one might be deep. I mean, I think these teams are pretty good, man. I mean, I don't know if they're good enough to like go deep and win a tournament in the pros, but I mean, I think they're as good as a lot of the bottom third teams I had seen in the pros. So I just felt like those two squads had really good chances this year to at least make some noise on Sunday.
I got to be honest. I did not think Fit's game was going to translate as well as it has. And it certainly has. And, they attack a little more than I think people give them credit for. Like Chavez is pretty relentless on the Dorito side. But they're a good organization and they play so much paintball together. They have great chemistry and they work well together. Their shots off the break are really good. They're disciplined. It has obviously translated very well so far. And Blast Camp, same thing. Watching them play, I'm like, okay, you guys kind of look like you belong here. That first event, they had a brutal bracket. So to go, 1 and 3 is, they beat Diesel, but then they lose to us, the Russians, and X Factor. Okay, like that probably should happen. But other than that, they look good. They look good. Both of them do.
Hey, it's exciting as a semi-pro team trying to come up and see these guys do well. I mean,
right.
Obviously, like it means a lot to us. And even like PB Fit, there's a lot of crossovers to the way we want to attack the game. Like that's a pocket team. They feel they can shoot off the break better than their opponents. Those are two core things that we feel about our team. And, I think, like you said, people confuse the pocket with playing passive. And I don't think they necessarily play passive. I think they take certain risks, mostly with Chavi, but occasionally on other parts of the field, they're just a very strict, disciplined team, especially in that first 30 seconds to a minute, Yeah.
Yeah. The camaraderie is thick. You can just see that they know each other very well. Yeah, they know how to play the game. And if you do A, B, and C, if you have the formula figured out and you apply that on the field, and you do it in the right manner out there at the pro level, you're going to go the distance. You're going to beat teams that maybe you wouldn't think that you could beat because it's all about who shows up in those moments at that very moment in time, and who makes the right decision in that moment in time. And if your team is working hard to solve those problems, you can have a good chance of beating teams. It doesn't matter what division, whatever division you're in, if you do the formula the way that we've talked about it tirelessly, there is a rhythm to the way that this all works, and you have to do it in a certain way. But if you do those things in the right way, you can beat anybody. He's gone again. You're muted.
Mute Lord.
Quick this time.
We got him
Wow.
back.
We're back.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of that, we have a bunch of people sounding off in the Discord, and I got to say thank you so much, dude. Stevie the Snake OG in the
My
PTG
pleasure.
World Discord. Thank you for being a part of our community and like supporting paintball in the way that you do. It means the world to us. We actually got young Stevie, and he's saying Splitty number 11.
Okay.
The snake player extraordinaire and genius student of the game. So he's giving you some love in there. And Verb is wondering what your favorite food and favorite place to eat it is.
Favorite food and favorite place to eat. I'll say Brazilian steakhouse. My favorite right now is, as corny as this sounds, it is Fogo in Philly. Everybody loves Fogo, so that's probably my favorite place to go eat.
There we go. Shout out Philly.
Dude, there's this Brazilian steakhouse in Prague. Ty, did we go there? We did go there after we won,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
I forget the name of it. It's the best Brazilian steakhouse that I've ever been to in my life. I love Brazilian steakhouse. Fogo de Chao. Like, we'd go in Vegas all the time. Love them. This place it's like next level, and it's super dope. You like kind of go underground, and you're in this like medieval castle kind of, restaurant. Oh man,
it's
dude,
amazing.
The food was so good.
I literally we won the tournament. We beat Impact in the finals. We went straight there, and then I wolfed down some food and then had to get on an airplane, and you guys all stayed and partied. But I got to see it for a little bit. It was fun.
Yeah. Hey, that after a win be hitting different though. We gotta be honest about that.
Oh yeah,
everything after a win hits different. Bro.
It's a little different.
Yeah. What was it like getting home yesterday? What'd you do to celebrate?
You know what, man? Like I was saying, it sucks that everything goes so fast sometimes. I had so much work to catch up to. It's been a little catch up mode, and we're still on rehab mode on the hammy a little bit. So, just doing some, just getting back to the grind, I guess, a little bit.
Nice.
Got to catch up on all the footy too. See how the pros played.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Steve, what's your favorite memory in paintball? Before we dive into the Discord questions, I had a few that I wanted to fire off for you.
Okay, facts. Favorite memory, man, it's got to just be winning World Cup last year. Yeah. So sick. Winning World Cup, man, so sick. We got to do it again.
There's nothing better.
Yeah, and we set it up that way. You set it up that way. Like, hey, it's about winning World Cup. It's about winning World Cup. So, like, we weren't making that up when it was time for World Cup, saying it's about World Cup. Like, it had been a year. We
set that in January. That was the intention in January, because the previous year we won all the events but World Cup. It was like, oh no,
crazy too.
Yeah, it missed out on the series title by like a few points.
Yeah,
like
but that'd probably be my favorite memory, man.
Yeah, incredible, dude. Well, it only gets better the higher the division.
There you go. Yeah, I can understand, because this one feels really freaking good.
Yeah,
this last one,
100%.
Well, it's impressive to get a win on your second tournament in the semi-pro division. That's huge. A lot of teams have been battling it out in that division and not gotten a win. And for you guys to, come in and get one, it says something. Says you guys are on the right track.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
And huge shout out to Joey Blue and Tampa Bay Damage for allowing you guys to practice them. I mean, that's been a tremendous help. Damage does this weird thing where they don't like to scrimmage other pro teams, on layout weekends. So it works out great for us. Wrecking Crew gets to go and grind with them. But it is funny. Like, I was talking to Joey about it. It is funny. That's what they do in other sports. Like the LA Chargers don't go scrimmage the Chiefs like mid-season. Their practices are amongst themselves in the second team, like that's the way it works. So
he kind of jokes too. He's like, I'll make you guys better. Why make those guys better? I got to play them.
Right. But it's funny, you guys had some pushback after the first weekend, thinking that it maybe was like too fast and too much. But I think you guys probably feel a little differently now.
Yeah, 100%. And no names, not gonna say Stevie. That,
Stevie.
what had happened was, and it makes sense, man. We're playing a team that's much better than us, bro. You know what I mean? We know that, And the thing is, we weren't getting into the positions of the close as often as we would with a team that we beat up on a little bit more. And I think it makes sense why there was some considerations whether that was best for us, because we do need to learn to close. We need to see that mid to late game. But the answer was just play damage better, and we'll get to see some more mids to late closes. And
well, what's the other answer?
Yeah, play some semi-pro
No. What's the other answer? Watch how damage closes against you guys. If they're closing every point against you guys, just watch. Say,
why can't we do what they're doing?
If it's both corners, you go through the middle. Whatever it might be.
100%. Yeah. Why can't we do what they're doing at the least?
You're literally going to see how to do it better than 90% of the paintball players out there.
100%, man. And the confidence too, man. Just getting to play those guys. Thank God that they give us the opportunity. We're super blessed and feel super privileged. And we try to give them our best work. And I think they got some good reps on us too. And yeah, man, it's just like when you can, you're going to get some snaps out against Keith Brown. How's that feel when you go play semi-pro? And I'm worried about, who am I worried about in the Snake, man? Like, we play these guys that are on a different level, and it just builds our confidence so high.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah, that is a tremendous privilege that you're able to get that type of training. That's outstanding. And yeah, Joey is such a good guy. I've chatted with him. He was hilarious on the commentary at the tournament. Oh my God, Joey.
Yeah, he was cooking up. I heard him. He was cooking up.
The only thing I heard was him high-fiving when I got hurt.
Oh no!
I was like, Joey, come on, bro. He was also giving me a compliment, but I'm like, damn, that's wrong.
Yeah, I guess March, that is pretty big news. You did hurt yourself. You want to unpack that for everybody so that they know what's going on?
Sure. Yeah, I guess these days these things are public. It was the first match against the Ironmen. I slipped filling out to the Snakeside Tower, and it's weird. This is something that I've dealt with. It's in the knee that I've had reconstructed a few different times. I've dealt with this exact thing probably 3 or 4 times since the major surgeries. But I kind of slipped, and then my foot got stuck as I was collecting myself, and I just felt a pull. It felt at the time like a meniscus tear. It didn't feel like ACL or anything big, but it stung my whole knee, and I definitely had to limp off. And it was painful, and I was really filled with emotion. I mean, honestly, I was in the pit kind of crying just because of, not because of the pain, it didn't hurt, but just because of the implications of, where I'm at and how long it's taken me to get healthy again. And, this is so fucking weird, but I bring an ice pack with a compression sleeve to every single tournament for the last 6-7 years, because it takes a lot of maintenance, and so I always have that thing. I swear to you, this event, I was like, I'm so good, I don't need it. I was like, I didn't bring it. I was like, my knee's been doing really well, I don't need it. And I didn't bring it, and this happens, which is it's just weird. It's a weird thing. But I was able to kind of walk it off, and then it got to a point to where it didn't hurt to walk, it didn't hurt to run, but it was really difficult to bend. And it was kind of clicky. And so, my thought was meniscus. And the question is just, how bad is it? Last time this happened in 2019, Ty, if you remember, it happened in Prague at the practice. And so I missed Prague, and then I missed the Philly event with Dynasty. So that's all I was thinking of, is missing time and having, all the worst thoughts were kind of going through my mind. So I didn't play the fit match. We went back that night, I got some ice on it and rested. And in the morning took a bunch of ibuprofen and kind of waited out. I told Skinny, I said, I know I could protect myself. I'm positive that I cannot injure this further. It's just going to affect how I play, but I really believe that I could still contribute with a voice, a big gun off the break, and, kind of quarterbacking things. So it's up to you, but I can guarantee that I can protect myself essentially. I'm just not going to do certain things that I didn't slide on it once, and we made the decision to play. I don't think I played that well. Maybe it was a better decision to not play. I'm not sure. But I did go to the doctor today, had a really good appointment. It seems that it is a mild meniscus tear and an MCL sprain. And again, there's no imaging. I didn't get an MRI. So, who knows? it's pretty swollen, the therapist said. So he's like, the swelling could be holding things together. We'll have to reassess in a couple weeks, but he put me through a bunch of different tests. And actually he also did something where like my femur and tibia were like a little misaligned, and he kind of like massaged it into place, and it felt like way better. I was kind of able to squat on it and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good. He thinks 3 to 5 weeks full recovery. So definitely not nearly as bad as it could have been, or as I thought, just a minor setback. And I'm pretty thankful and definitely in good spirits. And also, thank you to everybody that reached out. There's a lot of really kind messages. There was also some pretty aggressively shitty messages. And to those people, you can honestly just go fuck yourself. People saying like throwing games and crazy stuff. There's nothing more that I want than to be on the field,
Of
period,
course, dude.
and
We all know that.
win. So
Yeah.
but that's where we're at. Again, I'm in good spirits because overall is good news. Don't think it was anything too serious, and if should be.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Atlantic City.
It's definitely it's not ideal, but you're taking it head on, and you have cojones to be going out there on you weren't 100%. You still went out there and you were contributing to your team and trying to help your team. And anytime that you're on the field, you're contributing to the team. You're just, you're a phenomenal player, phenomenal mind. So having you out there definitely helps. And we're all praying for you to get speedy recovery, brother. I know it's not fun, but you have the best team around you. And I know we had
Naveed. Yeah, that's who I went to see. Yeah, he's command dominator, right?
He's the man.
Just looked at a few things, and that's why I really do trust his assessment on it. If it doesn't get better in the next week or two with ice and stuff, then I'll for sure go get imaging. But I don't think it's that serious. I definitely don't.
Well, that's good. Good to hear.
Brother.
Yeah. It's going to be. I mean, we're I guess almost 2 months out from the next event, so a lot of time, and I'm very curious to see what everyone has to say about how the tournament's going to go for the next event. It's an anomaly. It's not normal. We're embracing it. Obviously, everyone wants to tear down everybody when things happen and things go crazy, but we got to stay positive once again. And we just take things like we're just talking about, take it head on. Whatever presents itself for the tournament, we're ready to play. And that's the ultimate thing, is just being grateful that we're able to, have these events and play these tournaments. It's a lot of fun. And we can't wait to get out to Atlantic City. We haven't been out there for, what was it, like 2 years, 3 years? I know we were there.
Yeah, it's been 3 or 4 years.
Been a while.
Yeah. So shout out to Atlantic City. It's fun. We get to go to all these fun different spots. Obviously it's going to be they have like the casinos. So everybody's going to be out having a good time, ripping it, enjoying themselves.
Got to avoid the distractions.
Yeah.
I love when there's distractions because
me too, because I know I'm gonna be focused.
It's so easy for me to avoid them, So I love when there's distractions. Give me all the distractions.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you too, Ty. It's like exactly. We're here for one thing.
Locked in.
Yeah. All right, we got from the Discord, Patty Rice, Steven, what's young Stevie's worst take?
Oh man, his worst take. He's got a bunch of bad takes, man. He's such a smart guy, but he does have a few bad takes. All right. I know this might be a little controversial, but I think a terrible take he has is on milk, man. He thinks milk is like really bad for you. And I just, I vehemently disagree with that position, I just think it's one of the few whole foods that are even in people's diets. I know some people are biased because they get the lactose intolerance. And if something makes your stomach messed up, you shouldn't take it no matter what it is.
So here's the thing, Steve. Here's the thing. He's right, but he's wrong. Homogenized and pasteurized milk is not good for you. Most of the nutrients are completely removed. And I lost this bet. Is milk good or bad for you? Because I used to think it was good for you. This was like 15 years ago.
Dude, do you know how much, when I was a kid, just off the gallon, just ripping milk.
So I would like to know if I'm right or wrong, because I originally thought milk was really good for you. And I was made aware that it's actually not. And there's enzymes in the milk that actually break down the protein that you're taking in. So while it might say that it has the content of protein, the way your body processes it actually breaks down your protein and depletes you of other minerals. And there's all sorts of legitimate peer-reviewed studies. There's literature on this that have proven this, right? And I was like, no. It was with an ex-girlfriend, genius too, college professor, speaks 5 languages. The lady is smart. She's bright. And we got in this big old fight, and she fucking flooded me with all of these studies. Now, you know, here I am 10, 15 years later. I'm like, look, there's a lot of studies that are manipulated and wrong and yada, yada. So I'm curious, right? And then I was talking to Blake about it. Blake is like the milk god, right?
Yeah.
Milk god. And I'm like, Blake, isn't this stuff bad for you? And he's like, the homogenize and pasteurize is, but you can't really buy raw milk. There's like only a few states that even sell it. So you got to get like the low temp pasteurized and all this stuff. If you do that, it has all the really good nutrients for you. And I'm curious to see where that is, because I definitely have learned and come to understand that milk is not good for you. And, you know, then I see that some milk is really good for you. So what is it? You know, I want to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everyone, do your own research. You know, like you said, there's always a lot of competing studies, and you got to read past the abstract before you can have a really good opinion on things. You know what I mean? And one thing you got to understand about all scientific endeavors, unfortunately, in a capitalistic society, is that money is at the root of it. So if I want to do a study on sugar, I go to Splenda. If I want to do a study on, I basically need to go to the competitor of anything I want to study to get them to fund it. You know, someone has to pay for studies, and people don't just pay for studies out of the goodness of their hearts. You know, there's often an agenda. So you got to read a little bit deeper. You know, sometimes you got to read past the abstract, but also I think sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. And here's one thing I do know about the majority of people: they do not have a good fat intake profile, and they drastically undertake protein, and they eat a shit ton of refined carbohydrates, and they have virtually no whole foods in their diet. And I noticed that one of the few whole foods left in the American diet whatsoever is basically chicken, eggs, and milk. And, you know, in the right environment, I think milk is very healthy. That's my opinion. I think there's some legitimacy. I know there's concerns too. But I think in the end of the day, you know, what is in milk is what is needed for life to grow and thrive. And that's why it's designed and where it is, you know. So, you know, I know a lot of people are on it. Maybe I have to put you on the list of bad take too. But I mean,
I think you need to do some reading.
I got to put Gray. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you need to do some reading. Yeah. Let's get to the bottom of this, because I just haven't had the time to really dive in again. But I want to know, because I love milk. And Blake had some, like, it wasn't raw milk, because again, you can't really buy it. It was like lightly pasteurized and something, right? It was really close.
Rare.
And
it's that rare milk.
Holy shit, it was delicious, dude. I had a cup that I kept in my refrigerator all week at the tournament. I was like, oh man, this is so good.
Yeah, we need to have an open debate in the Discord. Everyone start putting up their references, and let's get to the bottom of this.
I like
Stevie thinks he's right. Let's find the let's get the abstracts.
I want to be clear that I don't think I'm right on this one. I want to know, because what I had learned and read was incredibly believable and shifted my entire viewpoint. I actually cut milk out for like the last 15 years. And then, in the last year, I've like kind of been reintroducing milk because I do like it. Makes me feel a little like, you know, because everyone's a little lactose intolerant. It's just, you know, to what level, but all humans are lactose intolerant, to my understanding, at some level. And so I felt like I had like a little bit of a stuffy nose almost. But because I probably haven't had it for so long, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll have to leave that one
to the bottom. Discord.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Hell yeah,
it's all the almond milk companies that are.
Right. Exactly.
Now we're getting at it. Now we're getting into it.
Exactly.
What did everyone replace their milk with?
Yeah.
But actually,
milk and nuts.
I do remember Frazee, when I was on Dynasty, we would talk about this kind of the milk debate. And he was saying something about sponge bones. I don't know. Eggs, you know what?
Yes. That's actually, it's along the same lines, is that milk did something that like deteriorated your bones. There's enzymes in the milk that like deteriorates your bones.
I'm curious.
It's,
So
yeah,
whether it's in the
yeah,
YouTube or the Discord, if you want to join us in PTG World, hop in there.
yeah.
But yeah,
Please.
sound off. Let's see what we got.
And then also, can we talk about Steve's snack choices? Motherfucker's always eating like Reese's, cookies, gummy bears, Sour
Well, we
Patch
got him
Kids.
off the. I'm trying to get him off the soy protein.
Yo.
He's hitting us with the Soylent. I'm like, man, that's a no-go. Come on.
No-go.
But hey, when you're intolerant and to the dairy, it gets a little tougher. Your options get limited. But yeah,
This is blasphemy. He's not here to defend himself.
he's
I don't
not
think
here
he
to
is.
defend himself. So true.
I gave him the opportunity to come on tonight. He goes, "No, let Splitty have his moment." And
Yeah.
now we
Here we go, Steve. You snack lord.
Snack Lord, snack God. Alrighty.
All right. So let's see. We got Papa Sosh. Wrecking Crew has had a meteoric rise through the divisions. What are the differences in your opponents you have seen as you have moved through the ranks? And why do you think your team had such immediate success in semi-pro?
Yeah, it's a good. I don't know. We kind of never went through the Marcelo philosophy particularly, but I think the 6 principles that I found out of the Marcelo philosophy basically are kind of our guiding light and why I think we do better than other people. I mean, to be put blank, I mean, even something as simple as everything has specific intention is just such an awesome philosophy to be at the bedrock of your team because it permeates everything. It's the way you play. It's the way you plan. It's the way you prepare. Another one of those tenets is control the controllables. I mean, these are things that you can put into practice on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that will give you results over time. And the nice part is when you stay on the path, the results start compounding themselves. So when you're making a lot of good decisions in a tournament, things start compounding. All of a sudden, you start putting up 5-0s and 4-0s. You know what I mean? It's a little bit less close. And I think a lot of teams, because I think you said this earlier, Marcel, there is a lot of talent in the game. Like a lot of the teams we play have a lot of talent. So it's not about talent. You know what I mean? That's not the deciding factor at this point. Now that we're at the semi-pro level, I feel like it really gets to, game plan, execution, team philosophy, having a certain amount of selflessness amongst the team, not trying to be too much of a hero, but also being the hero when those times come. You know what I'm saying? And I think those are the things that really set us apart. Yes, our preparation, but like, it's not just about gross, like total preparation. Like how effective are your practices? How thoughtful are your practices? How honest are you with each other about your play and your performance? How much critique is there? And fortunately we have Marcelo, who will be the first to critique us. You know what I mean? So we kind of set this standard. Like you were mentioning some of these brutal, like 2 or 3 hour video reviews where everyone's getting dressed down. You know what I mean? Everyone's play is getting cracked open. No one survives. So when that's the mentality, that's the way it is even when you're not there, Marsh. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're doing to ourselves. That's what we're doing to each other. You know what I mean? And those things really they just start stacking up, man. There's no other way to put it. And it feels like at a certain point, you get a certain amount of momentum. It's like, I don't want to be the team getting in front of this train. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watch out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I love it. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Jay Lamb wants to know, Splitty, who is the one player on Wrecking Crew that matches your brainwaves?
Stevie, even though it's so funny because we debate a lot, the thing is he's a really smart guy. I feel like I'm a smart guy too. So one of my favorite ways to decide if something is good or right or accurate is to challenge it. And me and him are on the same wavelength majority of the time. But when we're not, we will get into debate. We will get into the nitty gritty. And once we're done with it, I feel like we're even more on the same page. So, yeah, I mean, me and Tall Stevie, we go back some time, even personally. So that's my dude right there, man.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Steve is so great on so many levels. He's got the comedy, he's got the wit, he's, intelligent, and he's a phenomenal paintball player. And we're very, very grateful to have him in PTG world and a part of our family. He's been just such a great figure in the game, and he's super creative too. You watch him on and off the field, very creative, very intentional, and he loves this game. So shout out to Steve there.
Yes,
we got
sir.
we got BJ Manies. He said, "What's
My
your
man.
favorite conspiracy theory?" Hashtag Pool Boys. I don't even know what that
Oh
means.
boy.
Also, what book are
Favorite
you reading?
conspiracy theory. Oh
I
man.
don't have
Right
my
now
tin.
I'm
my
still
tin hat.
reading Breath by Nestor, which is a great book just discussing about breathing techniques and
Oh, I
the
have that
history
book.
of our jaws. Yeah, finish it, man. It's so good.
Yes.
How our jaws are getting smaller, how it's affected our airways and all that stuff. But my favorite conspiracy theory. Okay, tinfoil hat time. Here we go.
I know. Where's my hat?
So
Dang
people
it.
always be talking about why is the government, why do they have to, why can't they just tell the truth about the aliens? Why can't they just tell the truth? What's the big secret that they gotta hide? In my opinion, I think the big secret is aliens were involved in our genetic makeup at some point, and that at some point they found this out, and that's a secret big enough to have to hide that people probably might not be ready if we were some sort of experimentation by aliens at some point. I think that's my favorite conspiracy theory.
That goes back to like the ancient Anunnaki and like, there's these really old cultures in the world as well. Yeah,
and
and
they're
if
all
you have
telling the same story basically, that some being with massive intelligence and greater size came down and gave them agriculture, and
there's a lot of
tourism.
interesting theories and stories from like these even these old books that we've found, and people who can read these old languages, and there's a lot of interesting things going on our planet. And if you haven't seen the Y-Files, you got to check out Y-Files. That podcast.
Y-Files is great.
Y-Files, I gotta peep.
You haven't seen Y-Files?
No. Why is that my alley?
It's great. It's funny. There's this little like goldfish in the background that's fucking always hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of one that I'm like, and look, I know it's been debunked. Everyone's always, oh no, that's already been debunked. But like this guy has all this evidence as to how it hasn't been debunked. Have you guys been following Ashton Forbes? He's covering MH370, and it's the video of that. You remember MH370, the flight that went missing over like Indonesia?
Oh, yes.
There's this video that was released by like the military that shows like 3 orbs circling the plane, and then all of a sudden it just goes boosh, and the plane vanishes.
Yo,
bro,
that's crazy.
It's crazy because like the actual coordinates were released. I mean, I don't know, dude. The whole like dive into it. Dive into it. I'm not going to sit here and explain it all right here. Dive into it because it's a little nuts.
Hop in that rabbit hole right there.
Yeah, all I know is I don't know, and I'm thankful, man. I'm just grateful to be here on this show with you guys.
Yes, sir.
And we're all a part of this big world, and the world is so much bigger than we could even imagine too. Like in our minds, we think we know how big the world is. It's way bigger than you could even fathom. It's a big rock that we're on here.
Facts.
Yeah, space potato. We're just hurtling through space.
Hurdling.
Yeah, we're going quick. We're moving. All right. Let's see. We got Young Fab in here. Shout out to Fab. There we go. Yeah, and that book is great. The Breath book that I started mouth taping after reading that book. There's this great company. I wish they would sponsor me. Hostage Tape that I use for mouth taping, and it's a game changer when you start like breathing through your nose through the night. Because I would find myself, even if it's just for an hour or a couple hours, you like start mouth breathing, and you feel super rejuvenated by just nose breathing. And it takes some getting used to, because for the first couple nights you're like, hold on, I'm dying. I can't breathe. your body's like goes into fight or flight mode. And I had the first couple nights, I'm like, rip the thing off my mouth. I'm like, no way, this is crazy. But after you do it for
man.
a little while, it gets easy.
For sure. And eventually, like, I don't even need to tape my mouth. I think my boys just let me know too. Is like, because we were obviously stuck in the hotel room. He's like, man, you breathe deep and through your nose all night. I'm like, bro, that's awesome news. Thank you for letting me know.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't snore either if you start training that way. Yeah.
100%.
All right. My last question from the Discord is from Asian Shucker. What was it like winning your first semi-pro tournament? What do you feel it will take to win another first place? And what made you decide to join Wrecking Crew?
joined Wrecking Crew because it was a no freaking brainer. I mean, come on, you get a call like that, you don't say no.
But why? Like, what about it?
That's a good question, because at the time I only knew so much about the team. What did I know? I knew Marcelo's involved. I knew that everyone here is kind of handpicked. They're all good players, and they just destroyed D3. I mean, that was that. I mean, besides that, I didn't really know much more, but I mean, what more did I really need to know? You know what I mean? To say yes to this opportunity like that. And then what was the rest of that question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, he had a lot in there. What was it like winning your first semi-pro tournament, and what do you feel it will take to win another one?
Win another one. Yeah, man, it felt unbelievable. Felt awesome. In a lot of ways, though, it kind of felt destined. Just like the trajectory of the team. It just feels like we're working to a precipice like this, and more precipices like that. And to win more, man, I really don't think we have a formula. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, Tyler earlier was talking about going through hours of just going through the bunkers piece by piece. This is literally what we do, Tyler. The first day, our entire team goes through every bunker on the field, one at a time, through every possible shot that bunker can have, you know, methodically. And like, we even drive Rob crazy half the time, because I didn't spend all this money for you guys to get down here and just stand around. You haven't played any damn paintball all day, you know. Yeah. But now we've been able to prove the results in now, and even in the semi-pro division. So it's like, I don't really think we need to change much. What we need to continue doing is staying disciplined, staying hungry, staying diligent, and coming with every tournament with the same level of preparedness. You know what I mean? I think that's the recipe to do it again.
Yeah, you're right. You got to clock in out there, man. He's probably like, yeah, what's going on out here? You know,
paid all this money, man, just for y'all to go stand behind the D1 for 30 minutes and talk about the shots. But it's like, yeah, Rob, like, honestly, like, you think I want to stand out in the hot sun and just stand at this D1 and like talk about one shot for 20 minutes? But like, now we've seen it work. So it's like, we're not going to switch up the system. You know what I mean? We're gonna, you know, next Thursday, we'll be going through every single bunker on the entire field, just like that, you know?
Yeah. It's imperative for the success of the team. And
Yes,
I guess kind of to round out March, how do you think the tournament should go rolling into this next event with everything that's happened? Like, what is the best route of attack for moving into AC, and how it should all flow as an event?
I think you still release a layout and you run all the pro games on Wednesday and give them a chance to have Thursday as a rest day, or an hour practice if they want on the AC layout. Yeah, you know, like, I can make the argument again, like, if they do a blind layout, you're now giving these 10 teams, you're just going to continue to practice the Texas layout over and over and over and over and over, you know? And like, isn't that what they don't want, you know? And then as far as like learning two layouts, you don't really have to relearn the Texas layout. You already know it, you know? So you put your focus towards the other one. You have an advantage. I think you guys already have an advantage of playing in a tournament setting a day before the tournament, right? Like, that shakes off all the, you know, the little jitters, whatever it is. You're in the flow. You like, you know, you get close to win. If anything, it's an advantage. So to me, I think it's frustrating that the bottom 10 teams didn't even have a chance to vote in whether or not those games should be played. And now we have to deal with the repercussions, you know, whereas it sounded like the top 10 teams were like, yeah, we don't want to play, but you could have definitely played, because semi-pro teams played, like, it was playable, you know?
It was.
So then
the pro field was tremendously worse off than
it was the worst.
Yeah, but
I mean, they had other teams there
was
playing it later in the day, you know?
That's what I mean. And I like I said in the beginning of this conversation, Tyler, always am going to play, you know,
and I'm curious what the rule book says though too, right? Because like, when you engage in a season-long sport where you are accruing points for a series title, the rules aren't supposed to change, right? So if the rules are that you get a layout 2 weeks before, and now, you know, halfway through the season, the rules change, it's changing, you know, it's like the bunker kit, for example. They added all these snake beams. You can make the argument that that certain teams picked up players based on that, right? Based on that. So you can make the argument that certain teams picked up players based on, okay, I know this player can learn a field really well because they have great mechanics, so we can utilize them if we have a layout, but they're not as smart of a player, so maybe blind layout, this isn't how we would build our team. You make these decisions based on the rules presented at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's kind of lame to have a rule change. Now, look, that's again, if I'm being hypercritical. At the end of the day, I don't really care too much, right? Like, look, we had a freak storm happen. We had, we did the best we could. The NXL did the best they could. So if we think that the best way forward is to, have the Texas event and then do a blind layout for AC, it is what it is, I do think like little bit of a bummer if they don't release a layout at all. Fields are going to be kind of frustrated and struggling a little bit with that, I would think. Fields always do well when the layout's out. It's a big weekend for them. So, there's a lot to take into consideration there. I don't know.
No perfect solution from what I can see.
There's
Either
no,
way, it'd be weird.
Here's the only perfect solution, because there is one, is to come out and say that NXL Texas will not be in April or May next year. That's the only solution.
Well, I do got to say, shout out to everyone out there who finished the tournament, the divisional. I'd be lying to say I wasn't jealous, just knowing that everyone was playing. As a fighter, as a competitor, it's impossible to turn that off. So even like the morning that I was told the news that I wasn't going to be playing, I'm in go mode. I'm in fight mode.
Still in battle mode.
I'm like, what do I'm going to, I was like, I'm going to go to the field anyway. I'm going to go trudge around out there because that's where I want to be, and that's just where my mind is. So congratulations to all the teams, tons of teams that fought it out there in the swamps, turned into a bunch of swamp things and went and got it done. And we can't wait to see everyone working hard moving into the next tournament. And thank you, Stevie. Thank you for your time and all your dedication to the craft. Yeah, thank man. You. Can't thank you enough for everything that you do in the community, on the field, off the field. And we wish you and the Wrecking crew nothing but success as you move forward. And hopefully we'll see you guys continue to kick some butt and play some pro paintball next year,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sounds good to me, man.
Yeah. That's the mission at hand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, brothers. Nice talking to you all. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
You too, Stevie. Thank you. Peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to ptgpaintball.com. Click the orange Patreon link in the corner and support the show. We greatly appreciate it. We have tiers as low as $1.99 a month. That is nothing, guys. It'll give you access to the Discord where you get access to the players chat and get to mingle with the entire PTG community. We have tons of different pros in there. Tyler and myself are very active, and it's an amazing way to support the show. We also have amazing other tiers. If you want to be one of the best, want to be a GOAT, sign up for the GOAT tier. It's the greatest way to support us. And each month we do a private live stream show, one-on-one kind of thing, to where it's just the GOATs, and Tyler, myself, will bring in some special guests every now and then, but you get to ask us questions in real time, live on the air, and you get lots of inside juicy news that we don't share on the show. So, as always, we will see you guys very soon.